Introduction. Today was the 5th time I had arranged for my parents and my girlfriend Su Qing's parents to meet. I booked the best private room at the hotel. My parents and I waited from 12 noon until 4 in the afternoon. She didn't come. Her phone was off. Finally, I saw her on her best friend's social media feed. She was camping in the countryside with a strange man, her smile brighter than the sun. In that moment, I wasn't angry. Instead, I smiled, because I knew the plot was finally beginning. Chapter 1. My name is Lin Yan, an unremarkable transmigrator and an unlucky bastard who has been reborn 9 times. The world I'm in is a male-oriented web novel called The Dragon King's Urban Return. And I am the cannon fodder, the rich second-generation heir whose fiancée is stolen by the protagonist, Yi Fan, early on, serving as a stepping stone for his rise. In the first 9 lives, I try to fight Yi Fan head-on. The result was my company going bankrupt and my family being ruined. I also tried being a sycophant, catering to Su Qing's every whim. The result was her spending my money while flirting with Yi Fan, and in the end, calling me useless. I even tried to just give up, take the money, and run. The result was being hunted down overseas by Yi Fan's international forces and dying in some unknown alley. 9 rebirths, 9 miserable deaths. This time, the 10th time, I've seen the light. To hell with the plot. To hell with the protagonist. I am tired. Let all burn. I just want to lie flat, be a quiet, rich heir, enjoy good food, work out, brew my own fine wine, and live out this life in peace. So, as I sat in the hotel's private room, looking at the photo on my phone of Su Qing and Yi Fan having a barbecue, I felt nothing, and even wanted to laugh a little. Finally, this day has come. The gears of the plot have begun to turn. Outrageous. Simply outrageous. My father, Lin Jiangwo, slammed his hand on the table, and the fine mahogany table let out a dull thud. His face, which naturally commanded respect, was now dark enough to drip ink. What on earth is that Su family girl trying to do? This is the 5th time. Is she playing our Lin family for fools? My mother, Zhou Hui, sat beside him, her eyes red, sighing incessantly. Little Yin, try calling her again. What if she had an emergency? I put down my chopsticks, picked up a piece of the newly served dompa pork, and put it in my mouth. It was rich but not greasy, melting instantly. The skill of this state banquet chef truly lived up to its reputation. Mom, don't bother, I said, slowly wiping my mouth. Her phone is off. Off. My father's temper flared up again. She did it on purpose. Looking at my trembling father and my worried mother, I felt a twinge of guilt. In the previous 9 lives, they had both met with bad ends because of my choices. In this life, I didn't want to drag them down again. I had to find a way to completely get rid of Su Qing, get rid of Yi Fan, and get rid of this damn plot. A crazy idea began to form in my mind. I picked up my phone and found a number I almost never contacted. The contact name was 3 words, Ice-Mountain Monster. My father was still fuming. This marriage, I say we call it off. Does my Lin Jiangwo's son need to worry about finding a wife? I'll arrange a blind date for you tomorrow. I refused to believe. I interrupted him. Dad, no need to arrange anything. I looked up at my parents and announced calmly, I'm getting married. My parents were stunned. To whom? Suyin? After all this, you still... My mother asked anxiously. Not her. I pressed the call button and put it on speaker. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. A cold, indifferent female voice, devoid of any emotion, came from the speaker. What is it? Just 2 words, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. My parents looked at each other, clearly not understanding who this was. But I smiled. I was all too familiar with this voice. In 9 rebirths, this woman had appeared in my life in different ways each time, but the ending was always the same. We were mortal enemies. She was the queen of the business world, an ice-cold CEO whose stomp could make the entire business community tremble. She was also, in name, my ex-fiancée, Yi Ruoxu, a woman raised by her family as an heir, for whom emotions were considered a weakness, a genius in intellect, but a complete idiot in daily life. She looked down on a good-for-nothing like me who only knew how to eat, drink, and be merry. I, in turn, couldn't stand her deadpan face that looked like the whole world owed her money. Our engagement had been forcefully broken by her a long time ago. President Xi, Long time no see, I said, leaning back in my chair, my tone relaxed. There was silence on the other end of the line. She seemed to be wondering why I would call her. I didn't wait for her to ask. I got straight to the point. Jiruashua, let's get married. As the words fell, the entire private room fell into a dead silence. My parents' mouths were agape, wide enough to fit an egg. The other end of the line also fell into a long silence. I could imagine that on Jiruashua's icy face right now. Her brows must be tightly furrowed, her eyes filled with the question, is this person insane? I continued to up the ante, speaking in a purely business-like tone. Has your old man been pressuring you to go on blind dates again recently? My parents have also been worried sick about my marriage. Our marriage would be a perfect business alliance, beneficial to both sides. After marriage, we won't interfere in each other's lives. Our assets will remain separate. You can continue to be your Ice Queen CEO, and I'll continue my slacker life. How about it? I laid out the pros and cons clearly. I knew that talking about feelings with someone like Jiruashua was like playing a harp to a cow. Only benefits could move her. Another long silence. Just as I thought she would hang up and call me a lunatic, her cold voice came through the phone again. Time, place. I was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Half an hour later, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Okay, the phone call ended. The whole process was clean and efficient, without a single wasted word. I put down my phone and looked at my petrified parents, shrugging my shoulders. Dad, Mom, problem solved. My dad, Lin Jiangwo, pointed at me with a trembling finger, unable to utter a word for a long time. You. My mom, on the other hand, clutched her chest, looking like she was about to faint. Xiaoyan, you don't have a fever, do you? That's the Ji family's daughter. How? How could she agree? Yeah, how could she agree? In the previous 9 lives, she couldn't wait to be 1,000,000 miles away from me. In this life, has the sun risen from the west? Perhaps she was also forced into a corner by her family. After all, with her personality, finding a man willing to marry her and guarantee non-interference after marriage was almost impossible. And I happened to be the one and only perfect candidate. I'm off, Dad, Mom. I'm in a hurry to get my marriage certificate. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and walked out of the private room with a swagger, leaving my bewildered parents in front of the exquisite dishes prepared by the state banquet chef, questioning life. Half an hour later, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, when I arrived, a black Bentley Mulsanne had just come to a stop. The car door opened, and a long, straight leg stepped out, encased in well-tailored black trousers. Immediately after, Jiruashua's devastatingly beautiful, icy face appeared before me. She was wearing a sharp lady's suit today, her long hair impeccably tied back, and no makeup on her face, yet she was still breathtakingly beautiful. It was just that her gaze was as cold as a Siberian current. She glanced at me, her eyes lingering on my casual t-shirt and jeans for a fraction of a second, her brow furrowing almost imperceptibly. I knew she was definitely cursing me for being sloppy in her mind again. Household registration book, ID card. She was concise, as if we weren't here to get married, but to negotiate a billion-dollar contract. Brought them all. I took out the prepared documents from my pocket. She nodded and walked towards the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau first. I followed behind her, smelling a faint, cold fragrance, like a pine forest after the first snow, crisp and clean. I had to admit, although this woman's personality was terrible, her appearance was truly top tier. At 172 centimeters tall, with a curvaceous figure, a thin waist, and long legs, coupled with that stay away from me aura, she was practically a walking hormone. What a pity she was an iceberg. Walking into the Civil Affairs Bureau, the staff were all stunned when they saw us. One was devastatingly handsome, the other ethereally beautiful. This combination was too eye-catching. You two are here to get married? The staff member, a young girl, asked, her face blushing as she looked at us. Yes, Jiruashua was a woman of few words. Filling out forms, taking photos, taking the oath. The whole process was unbelievably fast. Jiruashua remained expressionless throughout, as if she were just completing a work procedure. When the staff handed us the 2 red marriage certificates, I was even a little dazed. We're married? To my nemesis? I took the red booklet and opened it for a look. In the photo, we were sitting side by side. I was pulling at the corners of my mouth, my smile a bit perfunctory. She, on the other hand, had a cold expression, as if the person sitting next to her was thin air. Yes, that's very G. Ruashua. All right, my mission is complete. I put the red booklet in my pocket and said to her, CEO G, it was a pleasure working with you. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. I have an appointment with my personal trainer. With that, I turned to leave. Wait, G. Ruashua called out to me. I turned back and raised an eyebrow. What? Does CEO G have any further instructions? She looked at me, and for the first time, a trace of a complex emotion appeared in her beautiful, phoenix-like eyes. We are now a legally married couple. She paused, seemingly organizing her words. According to the agreement, we need to act like a loving couple in front of both our parents. So, tonight, you need to come back with me to the G family home. The G family home? Alarm bells instantly went off in my head. The G family residence was no friendly place, especially that old man of hers, G. Ruashua's grandfather, who had raised her as a mere tool. He was nothing short of an old fox. In my past lives, I had suffered at his hands more than a few times. I'm not going. I refused flatly. It's part of the agreement. G. Ruashua's tone left no room for argument. You must cooperate. The agreement only says we have to act like a couple in front of our parents, not whose house we have to go to. I started to be difficult. If you insist, we can go to my place. My parents make a killer braised pork belly. Swiss från deepend. Linyan, I'm not negotiating with you. G. Ruashua, and I'm not your subordinate. I didn't back down an inch. If you want my cooperation, show some sincerity. Otherwise, this marriage is no different from being unmarried. We stood there, facing off at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. One was as cold as ice, the other a cynical rogue. Passers-by frequently turned to look. Just when I thought she was about to lose her temper, she suddenly compromised. Find your place. After she said it, she turned and walked toward her car. I watched her back, a little surprised. Why was this iceberg so easy to talk to today? Was it because we just got married and she wanted to give me some face? I shook my head, not bothering to think about it. As long as I didn't have to go to that dragon's den, anywhere was fine. I took out my phone and sent a WeChat message to my mom. Mom, make extra braised pork belly tonight. I'm bringing my wife home for dinner. A minute later, my mom replied with 3 question marks. Another minute passed, and she called, her voice trembling. Little Yin, you really managed to bring that G family girl home. Hearing the shock and excitement in my mom's voice, I smiled. That's right. Get ready to welcome your daughter-in-law. Hanging up, I could imagine the chaotic, joyous uproar at my home right now. I got into G. Ruashua's car. I gave her my home address. The car's interior was spacious, filled with the same cool fragrance that she wore. She focused on driving, silent. I was happy with the quiet, leaning back against the seat and closing my eyes to rest. My mind, however, was racing. Marrying G. Ruashua was a spur-of-the-moment decision, but it was also the only way I could think of to completely get rid of Su Qing and Yi Fan, and also to appease my parents. As long as G. Ruashua and I were tied together, Su Qing wouldn't dare to pester me again, even if she had regrets. And as for Yi Fan, although he was the protagonist, with his current strength, he wouldn't dare to provoke the G family easily. This was the right move. Next, I just needed to maintain this cooperative relationship with G. Ruashua, lie back, and enjoy my life. As for business struggles and protagonist halos, to hell with them. I'm not playing along anymore. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep, a slightly hesitant voice came from beside me. I opened my eyes and saw G. Ruashua looking at me through the rearview mirror. What are your parents like? Her tone had a hint of nervousness. I thought I had misheard. The ice-cold CEO, G. Ruashua, could be nervous? Oh, them. I deliberately drew out my words. They're like a daughter-in-law who is sensible, obedient, knows how to cook, and can do housework. I saw G. Ruashua's hands tighten abruptly on the steering wheel. She fell silent. The atmosphere in the car dropped to freezing point again. I chuckled inwardly. Serve you right for always being so high and mighty. Now you know fear, don't you? The domestically challenged G. Ruashua probably doesn't even know which way the kitchen door opens. But I changed my tone. What my parents like even more is a daughter-in-law who can control me. Ruoshua paused, glanced sideways at me, her eyes filled with confusion. I winked at her, grinning like the cat that got the cream. So, you just have to keep being yourself. That's enough. Being yourself is the best gift for my parents, because they've been dreaming of someone who could reign in this rebellious son of theirs. Ruoshua seemed to understand my meaning. The nervousness in her eyes faded, and her icy expression returned. She didn't say anything more, just silently increased the car's speed. Watching the street scenes fly by outside the window, the smile on my lips deepened. Married life with the ice-cold CEO seems a little more interesting than I imagined. Perhaps this life won't be so boring after all. When Ruoshua's Bentley Mulsanne stopped at the entrance of my family's villa, I saw my parents standing at the door, craning their necks in anticipation. The sheer formality of it surpassed even the reception of a national leader. The moment the car came to a steady halt, my mom darted forward like an arrow and enthusiastically pulled open the rear passenger door. Ruoshua, come on out. Oh my, this child is truly beautiful. My mom, Zhou Hui, a typical housewife. Her greatest hobby is watching various TV dramas about wealthy families and their daughters-in-law. At this moment, as she looked at Ruoshua, the light shining from her eyes was brighter than the stars in the sky. It was as if Ruoshua wasn't her daughter-in-law, but an SSR card she had just drawn. Ruoshua had clearly never encountered such a scene before. Her entire body froze. Pulled out of the car by my mom, she stood there at a loss, a rare crack appearing on her usually ice-cold face. Hey, hello, Andy. She stammered out a greeting, her voice as quiet as a mosquito's buzz. My dad, Lin Jiangwo, also walked over. Although he tried hard to maintain the dignity of the head of the household, the upward curve of his lips had already completely betrayed him. Ahem, it's good that you're here. Come inside quickly. The food is all ready. Following behind them, I watched as Ruoshua was led into the house by my mom, who held her arm, and I almost burst out laughing. How was this the same decisive and formidable ice queen of the business world? This was clearly a little white rabbit that had mistakenly wandered into a wolf's den. Walking into the dining room, the long dining table was laden with delicacies from the mountains and seas. In the very center was a large bowl of steaming braised pork, its color a glossy red, its aroma assailing the nostrils. Ruoshua, have a seat. Annie made this for you herself. Try it and see if you like it. My mom pressed Ruoshua into the main seat and enthusiastically served her a large piece of braised pork. Ruoshua stared at the glistening piece of meat in her bowl, her pupils quaking. I knew that this woman, in order to maintain her figure, hadn't touched pork in 10 years. Her daily diet was more ascetic than a monk's. Now, faced with this calorie bomb, she was caught in the greatest crisis of her life. She shot me a look, pleading for help. I pretended not to see, helping myself to a piece and eating it with great relish. Delicious. Mom, with skills like these, it's a pity you haven't opened a private kitchen. My mom, overjoyed by my praise, served Ruoshua another helping of green vegetables. Ruoshua, eat more. Look how thin you are. No matter how busy you are with work, you must take care of your health. Ruoshua looked at the food piled up like a small mountain in her bowl, then at the eager and expectant eyes of my parents. Finally, as if resigning herself to her fate, she picked up her chopsticks. She picked up the piece of braised pork, closed her eyes, and brought it to her mouth as if she were facing death. Then she froze. Her eyes slowly widened. Within those cold, phoenix-like eyes, it was as if fireworks were blooming. Her chewing, stiff at first, became faster and faster. Finally, she swallowed the entire piece of meat and then, silently, picked up a second piece. Me? My mom. Oh my, this child must be truly hungry. My dad. It's good that you like it. It's good that you like it. The meal was a joyous one for both hosts and guests, mainly Ruoshua. She alone finished half the bowl of braised pork. After dinner, my mom held Ruoshua's hand as they sat on the sofa and began her interrogation. Ruoshua, how old are you this year? 26. What are your hobbies? Work. The smile on my mom's face froze. I quickly stepped in to smooth things over. Mom, her hobbies are a bit special. She likes to watch me work out. Yiruoksu. My mom's eyes lit up. Oh, that's wonderful. This kid, Xiao Yin, he doesn't have many skills, but he's got a great body. Those 8-pack abs, the V-line, TSK. Ji Ruoxue's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. It spread from her cheeks all the way to the tips of her ears, like a boiled shrimp. Seeing her like this, I was in a great mood. Serves you right for always acting so cold and aloof. Now you know what it feels like to be shy, don't you? Oh, all right, my mom said, as if suddenly remembering something. She took a thick red envelope from under the coffee table and stuffed it into Ji Ruoxue's hands. Ruoxue, this is a gift from our family for you to change how you address us. From now on, you're the daughter-in-law of the Lin family. Holding the red envelope, Ji Ruoxue was once again at a loss. Auntie, this is too much. Not at all. Not at all, my mom said, grinning from ear to ear. The fact that you're willing to marry our Xiao Yin is a blessing from our ancestors. In the future, if Xiao Yin dares to bully you, you tell me, and I'll beat him up for you. Ji Ruoxue glanced at me and silently put the red envelope away. Me? So I'm just a tool in all this? At 9 in the evening, my parents finally let Ji Ruoxue leave, albeit reluctantly. Before she left, my mom even packed a large box of braised pork for her to take home. I walked her to the door. The evening breeze was slightly cool, lifting the loose strands of hair on her forehead. Thank you for today. She suddenly spoke, her voice very soft. For what? Thank you for your parents' hospitality. She paused, then added, the braised pork was delicious. This was the first time I had heard the words thank you from her. It was also the first time I saw her icy face reveal an expression that was almost gentle. In the moonlight, her profile was unrealistically beautiful. For no reason, my heart skipped a beat. Ahem. I clear my throat to hide my loss of composure. If you want to eat it again, you can come over often. She nodded, pulled open the car door, and got in. The car started and slowly drove away. I stood there, watching the receding taillights, not moving for a long time. The phone in my pocket vibrated. I took it out. It was a WeChat message. From Su Qing. Lin Yan, I'm sorry. Something very important came up today, so I couldn't make it. Please don't be mad, okay? Let's set a time for tomorrow, and I'll explain in person. It was followed by a pitiful-looking sticker. I looked at the message and laughed. Something important? Was it being lovey-dovey and flirting with Yi Fan in the suburbs? I couldn't be bothered to reply. I directly blocked and deleted her, all in one smooth motion. Then, I posted on my WeChat moments. The picture was of the marriage certificate we had just gotten, still fresh. The caption was just 2 words, married. A minute later, my moments feed exploded. Likes and comments flooded in at a rate of dozens per second. Holy shit, Brother Yin, you got married? To whom? No way, no way. Didn't you just say a few days ago you were going to meet the parents with Su Qing? Who is this woman? She looks a bit familiar. Holy shit, isn't that the Ice Queen from the G Corporation, Ji Ruoxue? Lin Yin managed to win over Ji Ruoxue? Has this world gone mad? What about Su Qing? Dumped? We love to see it. This is great news. I looked at these comments and smiled with satisfaction. Then I opened the chat with my assistant, Qinyang. Qinyang, do something for me. Go ahead, boss. Qinyang replied instantly. Tomorrow, I want to see the hashtag Lin Corporation, Herlian Ninja Corporation, Severoxiu Flash Marriage hashtag at the top of the trending list. Understood. Also, boss, there's something I need to report. Speak. The Yi Corporation also participated in the auction for the land in West City today. We won it. The representative from Yi seemed to be named Yifan. I raise an eyebrow. Yifan. He moves fast. He's already entered the Yi Corporation and started on his protagonist journey so soon. Too bad he ran into me. A reincarnator with a full map hack. Good work, I replied. Tomorrow morning, send all the planning proposals for the West City plot to the G Corporation. Give them to CEO G. Qinyang was clearly surprised. Boss, we spent $5 billion to acquire that land. We're just giving it to the G Corporation. Giving it? I laughed. This is a betrothal gift. Now that we're married, I have to give my new wife a little welcoming gift. A $5 billion piece of land as a betrothal gift. That should be sincere enough, right? I imagined what kind of splendid expression would appear on Ji Ruoxue's icy face when she received this grand gift tomorrow, and I couldn't stop the smile from spreading across my lips. In this life, I won't be a simp, nor will I be cannon fodder. I just want to be a quiet, wife-doting, lie-flat player. No one is going to disturb me. Chapter 4. The next day, I slept until I woke up naturally. Sunlight streamed through the gaps in the blinds, warm on my face. I stretched and grabbed my phone to take a look. 11 in the morning. Another day full of energy for lying flat. There were dozens of missed calls on my phone, all from Su Qing and her best friends. My WeChat was even more bombarded with all sorts of messages. I opened my moments and saw Su Qing had posted an update an hour ago. You only know how precious some things are after you've lost them. Unfortunately, it's too late. The accompanying picture was taken in a dimly lit bar. She was holding a glass of wine, her eyes melancholic, looking pitiful and lovely. Below, a bunch of mutual friends were comforting her. Qing, don't cry. A man like that isn't worth it. Exactly, Lin Yin is such a piece of trash, changing his heart just like that. Out with the old, in with the new. You'll find someone better. Looking at these comments, I almost laughed out loud. These people, do they really think I was the one who dumped Su Qing? But this is good too. Saves me the trouble of explaining. I opened Weibo. The #1 trending topic was marked with a glaringly red, explosive character. Hashtag Linyan Zhiruoxu flash marriage hashtag. I clicked on it and saw a photo of Ji Ruoxu and me at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau from yesterday. I don't know which passerby took it, but the angle was quite tricky. In the photo, Ji Ruoxu was walking forward with a cold expression, while I trailed behind her like a little follower. The comment section already had hundreds of thousands of replies. How did these two end up together? Did the dimensional wall just break? One is a perennial iceberg, the other is a playboy. I don't get this combination. Must be a business marriage. Aren't all wealthy families like this? To the person above, have you ever seen a business marriage where the man goes to register in a t-shirt and jeans? Lin Yan's attitude is way too careless. Why do I get the feeling that Queen Ji seems a bit reluctant? Am I the only one who thinks these two look damn good together? Besides the news of our flash marriage, another topic had quietly climbed up the trending list. Hashtag Lin Corporation didn't wake up today either hashtag. I clicked on it, and it was full of complaints from my company's employees. First day of marriage, and the boss isn't coming to work again. Envy. JPGR company's stock hit the daily limit again today. Reason unknown, maybe because the boss's wife brings good luck. Other companies are 996. Our company is 997. 9 to 5, work 5 days, rest 2. Boss doesn't show up, salary paid as usual. Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss's wife. At Lin Corporation official Weibo, excuse me, has the boss gotten out of bed today? Looking at these goofy comments, I nodded in satisfaction. Yes, this is the highest state of lying flat. Lying at home while money falls from the sky. Just as I was getting into it, my assistant, Chen Yang, called. Boss, you're finally awake. Chen Yang's tone was filled with the relief of surviving a catastrophe. What's wrong? Did the sky fall? Almost. President Ji is at the company. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. What is she doing there? She came to see you. You weren't here, so she's been waiting in your office for 2 hours. 2 hours? I was a little surprised. This iceberg is quite patient. Boss, please come back quickly. President Ji's aura is too intense. The entire office is dead silent. Everyone's even breathing cautiously. I feel like I'm suffocating. Chen Yang said with a mournful face. All right, I get it. I hung up the phone, slowly got out of bed, washed up and changed my clothes. Then I went downstairs to the kitchen, fried an egg for myself, toasted 2 slices of bread, and brewed a cup of hand-ground coffee. Only after I had eaten and drunk my fill did I drive to the company at a leisurely pace. By the time I arrived at the company, it was almost 1 in the afternoon. As soon as I entered the company's main door, I felt an unusually low pressure in the air. The receptionist saw me like a savior, her eyes shining. Boss, you're finally here. I nodded and walked straight toward my office. At the office door, Chen Yang stood guard like a door god, a look of utter despair on his face. When he saw me, he almost burst into tears. Boss! I patted his shoulder and pushed the door open. Inside the office, Ji Ruoxu was sitting in my boss's chair, reading a document. She was wearing a white shirt today, with the top two buttons undone, revealing her delicate collarbones. Sunlight streamed in from the floor-to-ceiling window behind her, casting a golden halo around her. The scene was as beautiful as a painting. Hearing the door open, she looked up, her pair of cold, almond-shaped eyes staring straight at me. "You're here." Her tone betrayed no emotion. "Yes, I'm here." I walked over, pulled out a chair, and sat down opposite her. "President G, what an honor. Forgive me for not welcoming you sooner." She ignored my banter, placed the document in her hand on the desk, and pushed it towards me. "What is the meaning of this?" I looked down and saw it was the development plan for the land in the west of the city. "A betrothal gift," I said succinctly. "A betrothal gift?" Her beautiful brows furrowed again. "A 5 billion betrothal gift? What? Too little." I leaned back in my chair, looking at her leisurely. "If you think it's not enough, I'll buy you another piece of land tomorrow." Lin Yen. For the first time, her voice carried emotion. "I am not joking with you." "I'm not joking either." I spread my hands, a look of innocence on my face. "We're getting married. I have to show some sincerity, right? Consider this land my welcoming gift to you." She stared at me intently, as if trying to find a flaw in my expression. "Did you know that the Yi Corporation also wants this piece of land?" "I know." I nodded. "That's why I snatched it." "You?" She was rendered speechless. I knew she must have thought I was a good-for-nothing hedonist who knew nothing about business, let alone how important this land was to the Yi Corporation. This land was the source of Yi Fan's first fortune in the original novel. He made tens of billions from this land, establishing his status in the business world in one fell swoop. Now this land is in my hands. I'd like to see how Yi Fan, without his golden touch, can still make his triumphant return. I can't accept this land. Ji Ruoxue pushed the documents back. "We're only in a contract marriage." "A contract marriage is still a marriage." I pushed the documents back again. "According to the marriage certificate, you are my wife, and I am your husband. It's perfectly natural for me to give my wife a gift." If you really feel bad about it," I interrupted her, a wicked smile playing on my lips. "Cook me a meal at home tonight as a thank you." Asking her to cook? That was harder than killing her. As expected, Ji Ruoxue's face instantly darkened. "I don't know how." She squeezed out 3 words through gritted teeth. "Then learn," I said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "As my wife, shouldn't you cook for me?" Ji Ruoxue's chest heaved violently. I knew I was about to drive her mad. Just when I thought she was going to flip the table, she suddenly stood up. "Fine, I'll learn." After speaking, she picked up the documents, turned, and walked away. Her high heels clicked against the floor, clack, 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 as if venting her anger. Watching her furious retreating figure, my smile widened. Teasing an ice queen truly is one of life's greatest pleasures. As soon as Ji Ruoxue left, Chen Yang slipped in, his face full of admiration. "Boss, you're amazing. You handled President Ji with just a few words. How did you do it?" I shot him a look. "You want to learn? In your next life." "By the way, boss," Chen Yang said as if remembering something, "Miss Su Qing came to the company looking for you just now." I stopped her. She seemed to be crying. "Oh," I responded, feeling nothing. "Crying? Where was she earlier?" "She also asked me to give you a message." "What message?" "She said she knows she was wrong and begs you to give her another chance. She said she and that man are just ordinary friends, and it was just a gathering of friends that day. She didn't mean to stand up you and your parents." I sneered. "Ordinary friends. An ordinary friend could make her ditch my entire family. Does she take me for a 3-year-old? From now on, I don't want to hear this person's name again," I said coldly. "Yes, boss." Chen Yang shivered and quickly shut his mouth. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the blue sky and white clouds outside, my mood excellent. Handled the wife, angered the ex-girlfriend, and tripped up the protagonist in the process. Perfect. Next, it's time to enjoy my life of lying flat. I picked up my phone and sent a WeChat message to my newly appointed wife. "Wifey, I want braised pork, cola chicken wings, and sweet and sour rib for dinner tonight." Then I tossed the phone aside, closed my eyes, and started to catch up on sleep. As for the company's business, with a workaholic like Chen Yang around, do I need to worry? Hashtag Lin Corporation's president didn't get out of bed to either hashtag. I think this trending topic can be maintained indefinitely. In the evening, I returned home. The moment I walked in, I was hit by an indescribable smell. It was like something burnt, mixed with the sourness of soy sauce and vinegar. I frowned and walked into the kitchen. Then, I saw a scene that I would never forget for the rest of my life. The kitchen was a complete mess. Pots, pans, bowls, and plates were thrown everywhere. The walls and floor were spattered with a black, unknown liquid. And my new wife, the Ice Queen President Jiruashue, was standing in the middle of the kitchen, holding a spatula, wearing the pink teddy bear apron my mom gave her yesterday. Her stunningly beautiful face was smudged with black ash, making her look like a pitiful little kitten. At her feet was a pot that had been burned beyond recognition. Inside the pot was a black, lumpy mass of unidentifiable ingredients. "You're back." Seeing me, Jiruashue's gaze was a little evasive, the spatula in her hand nearly bent out of shape. I looked at the disaster scene of a kitchen, then at her expression like a child who had done something wrong, and suddenly found it a bit amusing. "President G, are you developing a new type of biochemical weapon?" Jiruashue's face instantly flushed crimson. I just wanted to make Coke chicken wings," she defended herself in a small voice. "Coke chicken wings?" I pointed at the black pot. "Are you sure these were once chicken wings and not a piece of charcoal?" I forgot to add oil, and then the heat was too high. Her voice grew softer and softer, and her head sank lower and lower. I sighed, walked over, and took the spatula from her hand. "All right, stop studying it. Any more research, and you're going to tear down my kitchen." I pushed her out of the kitchen. "Go wait in the living room. I'll handle this." She stood at the kitchen doorway, looking at me, her eyes filled with surprise. "You know how to cook. What do you think?" I rolled my eyes at her. "If I had to rely on you, I'd starve to death tonight." I skillfully tied on an apron and began to clean up the mess. First, I threw the ruined pot into the trash can. Then I cleaned the stovetop and wiped the stains off the floor. Jiruashue just stood at the doorway, watching me without moving. That look in her eyes, it was as if she were looking at some rare animal. Her stare made me a little uncomfortable. "What are you looking at? Haven't you ever seen a handsome guy cook before?" She didn't say anything, just silently walked over, picked up a cloth, and started to help me wipe the table. Her movements were clumsy. You could tell at a glance that she wasn't used to doing chores. But she was very serious about it. For a moment, the only sounds in the kitchen were the running water and our soft breathing. The atmosphere was a bit delicate. Soon, I had the kitchen cleaned up. Then, I took ingredients from the refrigerator and started to cook. Chopping vegetables, tossing the wok, adding seasoning. My movements were as smooth as flowing water, all done in one go. In my past lives, in order to please Su Qing, I had specifically learned to cook, studying all 8 major cuisines of China. I never expected that in the end, Su Qing wouldn't be the one to benefit, but instead my arch-nemesis, Jiruashue. Fate really plays tricks on people. Half an hour later, 3 dishes and a soup were on the dining table. Braised pork belly, Coke chicken wings, sweet and sour pork ribs, and a tomato and egg soup. They looked, smelled, and tasted perfect. Jiruashue sat at the table, looking at the feast before her, her eyes shining. "Go on, eat." I served her a bowl of soup. She picked up her chopsticks, carefully took a piece of a Coke chicken wing, and put it in her mouth. Then, her eyes lit up again. "Delicious," she exclaimed sincerely. Seeing her satisfied expression, I suddenly felt that making this meal was quite worth it. If it's good, then eat more. I put a piece of braised pork belly in her bowl. She didn't hold back, burying her head in her food and eating until her cheeks puffed out like a little hamster, completely losing her usual cold and aloof, queen-like demeanor. Watching her, I suddenly realized that this woman was actually quite cute. Raised as an heiress since childhood, deprived of all emotions and hobbies, living like a precision machine. Even eating a delicious meal was a luxury for her. Thinking of this, in my heart, I actually felt a slight pang of heartache. I must be crazy. How could I feel heartache for Jiruashue? She was almost finished. Wiping her mouth with a napkin, she looked at me, a little embarrassed. "In the future, can I come and eat again?" she asked cautiously, her eyes full of expectation. "No," I teased her on purpose. The light in her eyes instantly dimmed. "Oh," she lowered her head, like a child who had done something wrong. "Unless I drew out the word. She snapped her head up, looking at me nervously. Unless you agree to one condition. What condition? I pointed to the pile of dishes in the sink and raised an eyebrow at her. You do the dishes. She froze for a moment, then nodded emphatically. Okay. And so, after dinner, I sat on the sofa and watched our high and mighty CEO, G, clumsily battle a pile of greasy dishes. Suds splattered all over her, but she didn't seem to care in the slightest. Watching her serious profile, the corners of my mouth turned up slightly without me realizing. This kind of married life seems pretty good, actually. My phone vibrated. It was a push notification for a news story. Ye Group fails in bid. Stock price plummets. Mysterious rival spends $5 billion to win West City land plot. I clicked on it and took a look. In the news, Ye Fan, as the representative of the Ye Group, was completely mobbed by reporters. His face was ashen. Facing the reporters' questions, he didn't say a word and scrambled into his car in a sorry state. Seeing his defeated look, I felt a sense of satisfaction. Oh, Ye Fan, your hard days are just beginning. Just as I was enjoying the sight, Ji Ruoxue finished the dishes and walked over. She was still wearing the pink teddy bear apron. Her hair was a bit messy, and there were still drops of water on her face. I'm done. She sat down beside me, a faint scent of dish soap and food clinging to her. Well, you washed them quite clean, I praised. She seemed pleased, the corners of her mouth turning up in an almost imperceptible arc. I saw the news, she said suddenly. Oh, that plot of land in the west of the city. Why did you give it to me? She looked at me, her gaze serious. If you developed that land yourself, you would at least double your profits. I already told you. It's a betrothal gift, I said languidly. My wife's company, my own company. Is there a difference? She was stunned. Besides, I shifted into a more comfortable position, leaning back on the sofa. I'm tired. I just want to lie flat. Developing real estate is such exhausting work. It's better left to a workaholic like you. I was speaking from the heart. Making money? I have no interest in money. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. I just want to live my salted fish life in peace and quiet. Ji Ruoxue looked at me, her eyes filled with complex emotions. There was doubt, confusion, and a hint of something I couldn't quite decipher. Lin Yin, what kind of person are you exactly? She asked softly. Me? I smiled. I'm just a good-for-nothing who wants to eat until I'm full and sleep, and then wake up to eat again. She didn't speak, just watched me quietly. The only sound in the living room was the television. The atmosphere, once again, became a little delicate. I could feel her very close to me, so close that I could smell the fresh scent of her hair, feel her warm breath. My body uncontrollably began to have a certain reaction. Damn it, I forgot about this body settings. It gets excited when you're a beautiful woman, an illegal, beautiful wife at that. I silently shifted my butt, tried to move a little further away from her. But the moment I moved, she moved too. She leaned in closer to me. Then, to my astonishment, she reached out a hand and, very carefully, poked my abdomen. Through the thin t-shirt, I could feel the coolness of her fingertip. My body instantly stiffened. What are you doing? My voice was a little unsteady. Her face turned red again. I just wanted to confirm something. Confirm what? What her mother said about the 8-pack abs. Her voice was as faint as the buzz of a mosquito. Me? Looking at her curious, yet shy expression, I suddenly felt like I was the little white rabbit being teased. So this iceberg was secretly a tease? If you want to touch, then touch openly. I grabbed her hand and pressed it directly onto my abs. Here, feel it. The real deal. No deception. Her hand froze on my abs. Her face was so red it looked like it was about to bleed. I could feel her hand trembling slightly. Seeing her innocent look, a mischievous thought came to me. I leaned in close to her ear and lowered my voice. How is it? Does it feel good? Do you want to touch somewhere else? My breath ghosted over her ear. Her body shuddered violently. Then, like a startled rabbit, she snatched her hand back and shot up from the sofa. I should go back now. She threw out the sentence and fled without a backward glance. Watching her retreating back, I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing. So this is what a melting iceberg looks like. So cute. Lying on the sofa, laughing, I suddenly felt that this life was actually quite interesting. Perhaps turning this fake act into a real relationship wouldn't be a bad choice. Chapter 6. For the next few days, I lived the slacker life I had always dreamed of. I woke up naturally every day, worked out a bit, and researched fine food and winemaking. The company? Non-existent. With a workhorse like Chun Yang there, he could hold up the sky even if it fell. Ng Ruashue and I developed a strange kind of tacit understanding. She would show up in my kitchen on time every day after work. Then, under my disastrous guidance, she would learn to cook. The results were hard to describe. Either she added too much salt, or she mistook sugar for salt. Several times, she nearly set the kitchen on fire. But she was persistent, failing time and again, and starting over time and again. From being clumsy and frantic at the beginning, she eventually managed to make 1 or 2 edible dishes. Although the taste was still a bit strange. But I ate every last bite each time, and then praised her against my conscience. You've improved. She would be very happy, and a faint, almost invisible smile would appear on her icy face. I knew she didn't really like cooking. She just liked this feeling. A feeling of home. A girl who had grown up in coldness and calculation since childhood was, for the first time, feeling the warmth of a home. And I, too, enjoyed this feeling very much. Coming home every day to someone clumsily bustling about in the kitchen for you. This feeling was very warm. This day, I was sweating out at the gym when Chin Yang's call came again. Boss, something's happened. What is it now? I asked while doing pull-ups. Suyin. She came to the company to cause a scene. A scene. I frowned. What does she want? She brought reporters with her. She's downstairs at the company right now, saying you toyed with her affections and abandoned her, that you cheated during your relationship, and that President G is a homewrecker. Chin Yang's tone was filled with anger and anxiety. I stopped my movements and jumped down from the bar. My gaze turned cold in an instant. Suyin. It seemed I'd been too merciful to her before. To dare to bring reporters to stir up trouble, and to dare to slander G. Ruashue. She was truly courting death. Get all the company security downstairs to block the reporters. Don't let them come up, I said coldly. I'll be right over. After hanging up, I took a quick shower, changed my clothes, and drove straight to the company. The area downstairs from the company was already swarmed. Dozens of reporters, armed with cameras big and small, surrounded Su Qing. Su Qing was wearing a white dress, with delicate, light makeup and tear stains on her face, looking pitiful and wronged. She faced the cameras, crying about my crimes. Lin Yan, he lied to me. We were about to get married, but he suddenly got together with another woman. That woman is Ji Ruashue. She used her money and power to steal my fiancé. I came today just to demand an explanation from Lin Yan. He has to give me an explanation. She acted her part with tears and sobs, and the uninformed onlookers started to sympathize with her. Some even began to curse me as a scumbag. I watched this farce, my eyes growing colder and colder. I dialed Chin Yang's number. Chin Yang, go to the Public Relations Department. Compile all of Su Qing's spending records from the past few years, and the records of all the money I transferred to her, and send them to all the media on site. Yes, boss. Also, prepare a lawyer's letter and sue her for defamation. Understood. After doing all this, I pushed open the car door and got out. The moment I appeared, all the cameras instantly turned towards me. Lin Yan, you finally decided to show yourself. Seeing me, Su Qing looked as if she'd found her backbone and came rushing towards me, crying. I sidestepped, and she lunged into empty air, nearly falling. Lin Yan, she looked at me in disbelief. I ignored her, walked straight to the reporters, and took a microphone. Hello, friend from the media. My voice, through the microphone, spread throughout the entire plaza. The scene instantly fell silent. Everyone looked at me, waiting for my explanation. Regarding the matter between me and Miss Su Qing, it's very simple. I looked at Su Qing, a sarcastic curve playing on my lips. We did date, and we did reach the point of discussing marriage. A trace of triumph appeared on Su Qing's face. However, my tone shifted. On the day we were supposed to have our parents meet for the 5th time, Miss Su Qing made my parents and me wait for her in the hotel for 4 hours. Meanwhile, She herself was camping and having a barbecue in the countryside with another man. As soon as my words fell, the crowd erupted in an uproar. Everyone's gaze shifted from me to Su Qing. Su Qing's face turned white in an instant. No, that's not true. I didn't. She defended herself in a panic. That was just a gathering with ordinary friends. Ordinary friends? I sneered. Miss Su Qing, do you need me to release the screenshots from your best friend's social media feed for everyone to see? Do you need me to show everyone the photos of you and that man with your arms around each other? Su Qing's face turned ashen. She never expected that I would have proof. As for my wife, Ji Ruoxiu, my gaze swept across all the reporters present, my tone becoming cold and forceful. She is not a homewrecker. I only got together with her after I had broken up with Miss Su Qing. If anyone dares to use the word homewrecker to slander her again, my lawyer's letter will be delivered to them immediately. My words were powerful and resonant. My strong presence intimidated everyone present. Just then, the phones of the reporters on the scene all chimed with notifications simultaneously. They all looked down at their phones. Then, their expressions all became wonderfully complex. I knew it was Chun Yang who had sent out Su Qing's spending records. Oh my God, in these 5 years, Lin Yin transferred at least 100 million to Su Qing. These luxury bags, jewelry, they have to add up to tens of millions, right? 3 million a month in allowance? Poverty has limited my imagination. Taking his money while cheating on him and then turning around to bite him back? This woman is shameless. Public opinion reversed in an instant. The people who had just been sympathizing with Su Qing were now looking at her with contempt. Su Qing completely panicked, seeing the disdainful looks around her and hearing the harsh gossip. She was on the verge of a mental breakdown. No, it's not like that. Let me explain. She tried to rush over and grab me, but was stopped by security. I gave her one last cold look and turned to leave. Just then, a black Bentley pulled up beside me. The car door opened, and Ji Ruoxiu stepped out. She was wearing a long red dress today, bright and captivating, her presence commanding. The moment she appeared, she drew everyone's attention. She didn't look at anyone else, walking straight to my side and taking my arm. Then she looked up at me, and in those icy phoenix eyes there was a trace of worry. Are you okay? She asked softly. I was stunned for a moment, then smiled. I'm fine. I squeezed her hand, our fingers intertwining. Let's go, wifey, we're going home. She nodded with a soft "Machem." Just like that, under everyone's gaze, we got into the car together. The moment the car door closed, I saw Su Qing collapse onto the ground, her face ashen. I knew she was finished. Utterly ruined and disgraced, that was her. The car slowly pulled away. It was quiet inside the car. Thank you. I was the first to break the silence. For what? Thank you for stepping up just now. She was defending me just then and announcing our relationship to everyone. We're husband and wife, she said faintly, looking out the window. I won't allow anyone to bully you. Her tone was very calm, but my heart felt as if it had been struck heavily by something. It was very warm. I turned my head to look at her profile. In the sunlight, her eyelashes were like 2 small brushes, long and curled. I suddenly had the urge to kiss her, and so I did. I leaned over, and before she could react, I kissed her lips. Her lips were very soft, with a hint of coolness. Like jelly. Her whole body stiffened, her eyes wide with shock. I didn't deepen it, just a light peck. Then I pulled back, looking at her, and smiling like a cat that got the cream. That's a thank you gift. Her face, at a visible speed, turned crimson. From her cheeks to her neck, then to the tips of her ears. As red as a ripe apple. She covered her mouth, looking at me, unable to say a word. That flustered and annoyed look was incredibly cute. Watching her, I was in a great mood. The car stopped at a red light. I turned my head and looked out the window. On the LED screen of the building across the street, a news report was playing. Yi Corporation's chairman, Yi Guodong, suffered a sudden heart attack and was rushed to the hospital. The group is in turmoil, and stock prices have plummeted again. Seeing Yi Fan's overwhelmed face in the news report, the curve of my lips grew wider. Yi Fan, your good days are over, and my good days have just begun. I turned my head and looked at the still blushing woman beside me, reached out and ruffled her hair. Wifey, what do you want to eat tonight? She paused for a moment, then said in a small voice, "Braised pork." Okay. I smiled. With a wife like this, what more can a man ask for? In this life, I just want to live it out well with her. No one could disturb us. Su Qing's affair caused a huge storm online. Hashtag Su Qing Gold Digger, hashtag Feel Sorry for Lin Yin, hashtag Best Face Slap of the Year. All sorts of topics dominated the trending list for 3 full days. Su Qing became a pariah, condemned by everyone. The agency she had signed with terminated her contract immediately. All the brands she endorsed demanded compensation from her. It said she's now tens of millions in debt and has even sold her house. And Yifan wasn't having an easy time either. His father had a sudden heart attack, leaving the company leaderless and in chaos. Several of his uncles wanted to seize the opportunity to take power. As a young upstart who had just joined the company, he couldn't control the situation at all. He was overwhelmed every day, begging for help everywhere. Reading the report sent by Chen Yang, I felt a sense of pure satisfaction. This is the consequence of offending me. I don't need to do it myself. Just by moving my lips, I can condemn them to eternal damnation. Because I know the direction of the plot. I know each of their weaknesses. To fight against a player with a full map hack, they're still too green. Boss, there's one more thing, Chen Yang said. President Ji's side has sent over the cooperation proposal for the land in the west to the city. Oh, I became interested. What did she say? President Ji said she can develop this land, but the profits must be split 50-50 with our company. 50-50. I smiled. She's quite courteous. With the strength of the G group, they could have easily taken this juicy piece of meat for themselves. Yet, she chose to split it evenly with me. This woman, she's quite principled. Tell her I agree, I said. Also, from today onwards, all of our company's new projects will give priority to cooperating with the G group. Huh? Chen Yang was surprised again. Boss, if we do that, our company's profits will be much lower. It's fine, I wave my hand. If there's a loss, it's on me. If there's a profit, it belongs to my wife. Chen Yang, he looked at me, his eyes full of pity, as if to say, Boss, has love gone to your head? I couldn't be bothered with him. I naturally have my reasons for doing this. In this world, apart from the protagonist Yifan, the G group is the thickest thigh to cling to. Now that I'm tied to Jirua Shui, it's equivalent to having latched onto this thigh. A deep cooperation with the G group will not only take my company to the next level, but also effectively resist Yifan's future suppression. This is called a powerful alliance for mutual benefit and a win-win situation. Of course, the most important point is, I feel like doting on my wife. What's wrong with that? In the afternoon, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from Ji Ruoshue's grandfather, Old Master Ji. Little Yin, are you free this weekend? Bring Ruoshue home for a meal. The old master's voice sounded very amiable, but I knew this was all an illusion. This old fox hides a dagger behind his smile. He devours people without spitting out the bones. In my previous lives, I suffered no small amount at his hands. Okay, Grandpa, I agreed readily. In my heart, however, I was already scheming how to deal with this Hongmin banquet. After hanging up, I sent Ji Ruoshue a WeChat message. Wife, your grandpa wants us to go home for dinner this weekend. She replied instantly, not going. I smiled. It seems she also hates that home. We have to go. The old master called personally. Then you go by yourself. How could that work? We are husband and wife. We must advance and retreat together, I replied. Don't worry. With me here, no one will dare to bully you. She fell silent. After a long time, she replied with a single word. Okay. On the weekend, I drove to pick up Ji Ruoshue. Today, she wore a white dress, her long hair draped over her shoulders, looking gentle and serene. She was like a completely different person from the unapproachable way she looked when I first met her. Are you nervous? I asked her. She shook her head, but her tightly clenched fists betrayed her. I reached out and took her hand. Don't be afraid. I'm here for everything. Her hand was very cold. I warmed it with my palm. She was stunned for a moment, then turned her head to look at me, a trace of complex emotion flashing in her eyes. She didn't pull her hand back, letting me hold it. The car drove into the G family mansion. The G family was a true, century-old, prestigious family. The mansion was converted from a Qing dynasty prince's residence, with pavilions, terraces, and towers, carved beams and painted rafters, full of ancient charm. The moment I entered, I felt the oppressive atmosphere. The living room was full of people. Ji Ruoshue's parents, uncles, aunts, and cousins were all present. Each and every one of them was sizing me up with a scrutinizing gaze, as if I weren't their grandson-in-law, but some unsavory wild man. In a main seat sat a vigorous old man wearing a tang suit. It was precisely old Master Ji. He looked at me and said with a smile, "Little Yin is here. Have a seat." Ji Ruoshue and I walked over and sat down in the seats next to him. "Grandpa," Ji Ruoshue called out faintly. "Yes," the old master responded, his gaze shifting to me. "Little Yin, I heard that you recently cooperated with Ruoshue and won the bid for the land in the west of the city. Here it comes. The main topic has arrived. I knew this meal wouldn't be so easy to eat." "Yes, Grandpa," I replied with a smile. "Ruoshue has a great mind for business. I believe that under her leadership, this project will definitely be a great success." I pushed all the credit onto Ji Ruoshue. "Is that so?" The old man smiled and changed the subject. "But how did I hear that you spent 50 billion to snatch this piece of land from the Yi Group? And you even gave it to Ruoshue as a betrothal gift?" His voice wasn't loud, but everyone in the living room heard it clearly. Everyone's gaze focused on me. There was surprise, jealousy, and disdain. I knew they all thought I was a fool who would spend a fortune just to please Ji Ruoshue, a pretty boy trying to climb the social ladder by relying on a woman. Ji Ruoshue's expression also changed slightly. She wanted to explain, but I pressed her hand, signaling her not to speak. I stood up, looked at old Master Ji, and said, "Neither servile nor overbearing. Grandpa, you're right. 50 billion might be a lot to others, but to me it's nothing. Money can be earned again if it's gone. But I only have one wife. As long as she's happy, I'd be willing to give her not just 50 billion, but 500 billion. My words stunned everyone present. They hadn't expected me to be so arrogant. Old Master Ji's face darkened as well. "Young man, you talk big." "Grandpa, I'm not talking big." I smiled. "I'm just stating a fact. I love my wife, and I'm willing to give everything for her. Is that wrong?" My rhetorical question left the old man speechless. The living room fell into a deathly silence. Just when the atmosphere became extremely awkward, and an opportune voice rang out. "Well said." A middle-aged man in a military uniform with 2 stars on his shoulders walked in from outside. He clapped as he walked, laughing heartily as he said, "This is how a man should be. My Ji Jingguo's daughter deserves a man like this. Yi Zvengul, Ji Ruoshue's father, and also the youngest 4-star general in all of Huaxia." He walked up to me and clapped my shoulder heavily. "Kid, I admire you." "Me?" Yeruoksu, dot. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one had expected that the typically stern and impartial General Ji would publicly support me, this good-for-nothing son-in-law. Even old Master Ji showed a surprised expression. I knew this trial I had passed, and I had passed it beautifully. Not only was I not looked down upon by the Ji family, but I had instead won the support of the most crucial person. I looked at the equally shocked woman beside me and winked at her. "See, I told you I'd handle it. No one will dare to bully you." She looked at me, and for the first time, ripples appeared in those icy phoenix eyes, like a stone tossed into a pool of spring water. I knew that the iceberg that had been frozen for more than 20 years, from this moment on, had begun to melt. It was already dark when we left the Ji residence. In the car, Ji Ruoshue was very quiet. She turned her head, looking at the rapidly receding night scenery outside the window, lost in thought. "What's wrong? Still thinking about what happened today?" I asked. She came back to her senses and shook her head. "I'm just a little surprised." "Surprised about what?" "That your dad would speak up for me." "Yeah." She nodded. "He has never praised anyone, especially not her, his daughter." In Ji Jingguo's eyes, she was just the heir to the Ji family, a tool that needed to become constantly stronger and more ruthless. There was almost no warmth between father and daughter. "That's because he had never met me before," I said cockily. She glanced at me and, surprisingly, didn't argue. "Lin Yin," she suddenly called my name. Thank you." Those 2 words again. But this time, they were more sincere than ever before. Today, thank you for everything you did for me. I knew she was referring to how I had defended and supported her in front of the G family. Silly girl. I reached out and ruffled her hair. I told you, we're husband and wife. Your business is my business. Her body stiffened slightly, but she didn't pull away. The car fell silent once more. But this time, the atmosphere was no longer awkward. Instead, a faint warmth flowed through the air. After a long while, she finally spoke in a small voice. What you said today, was it all true? Which part? The part where you said you loved me and would give everything for me. Her voice grew smaller and smaller, and her face grew redder and redder. Seeing her shy expression, my heart stirred. I pulled the car over to the side of the road, unbuckled my seatbelt, and leaned over. What do you think? I gazed into her eyes and said, word by word, every word I've said is true. Perhaps, at first, I married her just to escape the plot, to live an easy life. But in the time we spent together, I found that I seemed to have truly fallen in love with this woman, who is cold on the outside but warm on the inside, and occasionally a little cute. Her eyes were stunningly bright, as if stars were twinkling inside them. She looked at me, her lips trembling slightly, as if she wanted to say something. I didn't give her the chance. I lowered my head and, once again, captured her lips. This time, it was no longer a tentative, fleeting touch. It was a deep, passionate, lingering kiss. At first, she was still a bit stiff, but soon, under my guidance, she began to soften. She responded to me, unskilled, like a beginner, clumsy yet earnest. I could feel her heartbeat and mine pounding violently at the same rhythm. I don't know how much time passed before we broke apart, breathless. Her face was as red as the evening glow. Her gaze was hazy and misty with a hint of moisture. She looked exceptionally alluring. I gently caressed her swollen, red lips with my finger. Do you believe me now? She looked at me and nodded heavily. Then, she did something I hadn't expected. She took the initiative, leaned in, and lightly pecked the corner of my mouth, like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. I believe you too. After she spoke, she buried her head in my chest like an ostrich, refusing to come out. I held her, feeling her soft, warm body, listening to her drumming heartbeat. My heart was filled with an immense sense of happiness. I lowered my head and placed a soft kiss on the crown of her hair. Ruo Shui. It was the first time I had called her by her name. Not President G, or hey. In my arms, she gave a soft From now on, call me Lin Yan. Lin Yan? She murmured my name in a low voice. Her voice was soft and sweet. Like a piece of cotton candy, it melted right into my heart. I held her, not speaking for a long time. Outside the car window, the city's neon lights flickered. Inside the car was a quiet and warm world that belonged to just the two of us. At this moment, I felt incredibly fortunate. Fortunate to have been reborn 10 times. Fortunate to have met her. Fortunate that I didn't miss her. From this day on, I'm no longer alone. I have someone I want to protect with my entire life. The next day, a piece of news once again blew up the internet. President of G Corporation, G Ruo Shui, officially announces her relationship on her personal Weibo with the caption, "My man." No one is allowed to bully him. At Lin Yan, the accompanying picture was a photo of us in the car from yesterday, one I had secretly taken. In the photo, she was leaning against my shoulder, sleeping soundly. A faint smile was playing on her lips. The moment this Weibo post went up, the comment section exploded. Ah, the queen has made it official. This is so sweet. My man, I love this possessiveness. Whoa, what kind of divine love is this? The CPI ship is real. At Su Qing, come out and take your beating. Look at the aura of the official wife. Hashtag Lin Ruo Shui divine couple. Get this hashtag trending. I looked at G Ruo Shui's Weibo, then at the wails of "I'm so jealous" in the comment section. The smile on my face was impossible to contain. This woman, she was just fatally cute. I picked up my phone and reposted her Weibo with the caption, "As you wish, my dear wife. Zavinach Yiruoksu." Then, I sent a message to Chunyang. Chunyang, go acquire an entertainment company. I'm going to make my wife the most famous female star in the world. Chunyang, boss, isn't President Xi a CEO? Me. What's wrong with being a CEO? Can't a CEO have a dream of being a star? Xian Yang. As long as you're happy, boss. I put down my phone and looked at the sunlight outside in a great mood. Since my wife has made it official, I, as her husband, naturally can't fall behind. What is the highest level of spoiling one's wife? It's to spoil her into becoming the happiest woman in the world. To let her do whatever she desires. And I will be her most solid support. As for Yi Fan, Suyin, those clowns are no longer worthy of appearing in my world. In my world, from now on, there's only one person. Her name is Ji Rua Shui. You are my wife, my love, my everything. In the very end, I still couldn't resist posting on my moments. Today is another day of not wanting to get out of bed, just wanting to cling to my wife. What to do? Below, Ji Rua Shui replied in a second with one word. Approved. Hey handsome guys and beautiful ladies, if you like it, please give a thumbs up. Thank you.